you think it's all right for a speaker to accept a very preferential, favorable stock deal?
Well, we did.
And you participated in the IPO.
Well, I have many
and at the time you were
but
Speaker of the House. You don't think it was a conflict of interest or had the appearance of a conflict of interest?
No, it only has the appearance if you decide that you're going to have elaborate on a false premise. But it's not true, and that's that.
Oh, okay, we'll move on, Nancy. Because you say it so. Because you're so credible on so many issues. As an ardent, practicing Catholic.
That is everything. It says it all for us.
Hey, Mimi. You're listening to your Healthy Radio Addiction, the Laura Ingraham Show. On Facebook, Kane Gaps. Does it make you question your support for him? These aren't brain freezes. These are entire countries who Kane has a trouble grasping the reality of. And from Libya, it was Becky, and now it's a collective bargaining murkiness about we're for it, the federal government. Even his wife doesn't seem convinced. God, Gloria Kane, well, I guess it'd be okay. I mean, she did not seem to be all that thrilled. She didn't seem like she wanted to be doing that interview with Greta Van Susteren. To me, she seemed like a delightful woman, though. I liked her. But to me, she seemed uncomfortable. You're listening to your Healthy Radio Addiction. So on Facebook, we're having that conversation as we look for the 3 C's. Competency, clarity, and conservatism. 3 C's. Take that, 999. All right, so we're going to get into what's happening on the Obama jobs front, because all he does is want to talk about his jobs plan, okay? We're going to talk about his old jobs plan, which is the jobs plan to create this green economy, giving loans to various solar firms and various enterprises that are going to use all these green technologies to advance our energy cause. Well, one author has now done a little bit of digging into just how this all went down. $20 billion in loans have been doled out. 80% have gone to Obama big donors or bundlers or others connected to his reelection effort. Joining us now, Peter Schweizer, whose new book, Throw Them All Out, How Politicians and Their Friends Get Rich Off Insider Stock Tips, Land Deals, Cronyism that would send the rest of us to prison. And meanwhile, these guys are trading stocks on the during the healthcare debate on healthcare stocks. He joins us now. Hey, Peter, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, Laura. How are you?
I'm great. First of all, congratulations on the fantastic book, and you're doing a lot of the digging that other reporters, frankly, should be doing more of. Let's talk first about this green jobs fiasco before we get into the healthcare debate. But this Solyndra story, $500 million, was just really the tip of the iceberg when we look at the $16.4 billion that has been doled out to Obama friends and other political backers.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Solyndra is the tip of the iceberg. This comes out of the Department of Energy, Alternative Energy Program. And, Laura, you'd think that, okay, if we're going to deal with this, we're going to have a bunch of scientists and engineers evaluating these loan applications and grant applications. All you need to know is how this system ran is that after Obama won in 2008, they took 2 chief fundraisers from his campaign and put them in senior leadership positions in the loan program and the grant program. One of them is a guy named Steve Spinner, who was the head of, he was basically Obama's campaign liaison to the Silicon Valley and the big financiers there. The other one was a guy named Sanjay Wagel, who ran green business for Obama, who raised a lot of money. And guess what? The people that they raised a lot of money from are the people that ended up getting huge, massive loans that actually make the Solyndra thing look pretty small by comparison.
Tick off some of the other companies or efforts that got backing from the U.S. taxpayers.
Well, there's a company called Bright Source Energy, and they got a $1.4 billion with a B loan guarantee. Yeah, and it's interesting because the largest investor in this firm is Vantage Venture Partners in Silicon Valley. It has 4 partners. One of those partners is Robert Kennedy Jr. The other partner is Sanjay. Yes, and the other partner is Sanjay Wagel, who ends up working in the Obama administration. Bright Source is going to build, or is allegedly going to build, a solar plant. Here's the amazing thing. they are trying to go public with an IPO, and so they're just required to disclose to the SEC all the thing about their finances. And I have this in the book. When you see what they tell the SEC, they basically tell the SEC, this is a long shot. We're not sure that this is going to work. They say our future success depends on our ability to construct this utility, and our ability to complete it and develop it and construct it is subject to significant risk and uncertainty. But they got $1.4 billion from the taxpayers. And by the way, what these projects are all about is what they call pump and dump, which is basically they get the federal money, which creates this halo effect. The companies go public, and then the initial investors cash out and literally make tens of millions of dollars.
Well, I thought those were the excesses in corporate America that that the Obama people were railing against. But it seems like that as long as their friends are profiting, then it's okay to just build up a company, dump your stock, and get out and leave the taxpayers holding the bag.
Yeah, and let me give you an example. There's a biotech company I talk about in the book called Amyris Biotechnology. A guy named John Doerr, who's
Amyris.
Amyris, Amyris.
Oh, clever. Go ahead.
And John Doerr is one of the investors, as is Al Gore, the former vice president. They put $16 million. This is all, by the way, public record. This is not something that I made up or created.
Right.
They put $16 million into this company, and then Senator Dianne Feinstein and her husband put $1 million in the company. Weeks after she put her money in, the Department of Energy announced that they were going to give a $25 million cash grant, tax-free, to Amyris Biotechnology to build.
Wait a second. How is Feinstein allowed to do? How are these people allowed to put money into companies that are getting all this federal money and on the cusp of their getting this federal money?
Yeah,
that doesn't seem right to me. I'm not trying to just say it because it's Dianne Feinstein. We're going to play a bite from 60 Minutes in the Boehner question as well, because he was asked about this, but he was asked about a different aspect of trading stocks. But to me, that smacks of impropriety, at least the appearance of impropriety, if nothing else.
Oh, yeah, well, and listen what happens. So they get the $25 million U.S. government, that's our money, $25 million cash grant, tax-free, and then a couple of months later, they issue an IPO of stock. So this is all in the matter of like a year and a half. Al Gore and John Doerr, they put in $16 million. With the IPO, their stock was now $89 million. And the key thing, and I quote numerous people in the book about this, the key thing in all of these is the federal cash, because it creates what's called a halo effect. Investors think, oh, the government's putting money into it, so it's got to be this new cool technology. So literally, you have got billionaires and very wealthy individuals who are leveraging our money being given to them by this apparatus of the Obama campaign, and it is making rich people even richer with our help. It's just,
well, what can be done here? What can be done about this? I mean, you wrote about it in Throw Them All Out, but what can be done here? Because we're going to move on to this next topic about the healthcare stocks being traded before the healthcare bill was passed. But could Congress step in? There's the Inspector General reports on this, but where is this all going to end up? Is there going to be any criminal indictments, or is it a criminal issue?
Well, I think it is a criminal issue because if you are making these decisions based on something other than the merits, you've got a huge problem. And I think the reality is that this kind of cronyism is going to occur as long as you allow the federal government, in the name of stimulus grants or whatever, to pass out billions of dollars. I mean, politicians give money to their friends. And Obama, with the stimulus package, had this unique opportunity to literally pass out billions of dollars to people. And guess what? The most of it ended up in the pockets of his friends. And those very same people, of course, are now raising money for his reelection in 2012.
This is a huge scandal. And Romney or Gingrich or whoever is the nominee for the GOP, I hope this is front and center in the campaign, because this is massive corruption. Now let's go to, and by the way, that's after Obama said lobbyists weren't going to have a seat at his table. Remember? Corruption was out the door. I mean, you have all those quotes in the book. Oh, lobbyists are not going to have a seat at my table because we're going to be meeting with the lobbyists at the coffee shop across the street from the White House. So they're not going to actually be at the table, literally. Peter, let's get into this other issue. In 60 Minutes, did a report on it over the weekend. Steve Croft was interviewing John Boehner about these stock trades before the health care bill ultimately passed in Congress. Let's listen.
Speaker Boehner, you made a number of trades going back to the health care debate. You bought some insurance stock. Did you make those trades based on non-public information?
I have not made any decisions on day-to-day trading activities in my account, and haven't for years. I do not do it, haven't done it, and wouldn't do it.
Yeah, well, I believe him. I mean, I'm not just saying that because I'm a Republican, but I actually know John Boehner, and I think he's like a lot of us. He doesn't make those decisions, and his account is traded by somebody else, and I don't think we have any reason to believe otherwise, do we?
No, I mean, as I point out in the book, the problem here is not, that you've got certain individuals that are corrupt. You have a compromised system. Were John Boehner to actually have done that, it would be completely legal for him to do that, and that's the problem. In the case of John Boehner, there is this instance with these healthcare stocks. I did not find with Boehner a pattern where this went on consistently and regularly. There are other people where you find a pattern. Spencer Bacchus, the Finance Committee Chairman, a Republican, a very aggressive stock options trader that correlates very, very often. He's able to anticipate a lot of things based on his position. And John Kerry, I talk about in the book during the Obamacare legislation in 2009 and during the 2003 prescription drug benefit thing for Medicare. He and his wife's investment funds were aggressively buying pharma stock. They were making all the right moves. They were buying brand name pharma companies. They were dumping generics in 2003. And with the healthcare debate, they really did very, very well in those investment funds. And it's hard to not come to the conclusion that there's some connection between what's going on in Washington and the trades that are being made.
Peter, are you saying there are not? We're almost out of time here, but there are no congressional rules in place that prevent individual stock trades using information that just seems crazy at law firms. So I used to work at a big law firm. We basically had to run every stock purchase or stock sale through a committee at our law firm. And if we had any business with that company or even that sector, we were barred from trading in that stock. I mean, I was not able to buy a lot of stocks because of the firm I work for. But we don't have that vetting in Congress, you're saying. This is news to me, by the way. And in 20 years of being here, it's hard to find news for me, and that's news.
Well, thank you. No, you're exactly right. I would encourage people, you can go online and look at the Senate Ethics Manual.
No, they're not going to be doing that. No, Peter, no one's going on the Senate Ethics Manual, but they'll read your book.
In the Senate Ethics Manual, they have 6 paragraphs on the improper use of Senate stationery. There is not one mention of insider trading or stock transactions, period, in that manual.
That in and of itself is a bombshell for me. I mean, that is just insane. How could you not have that?
Yeah.
And it's not like they can trade, I guess, but can't be anything that you are involved in, which I guess could take out a lot of issues, but you have to have some blind trust. To me, it seems wrong. And congratulations, Peter, on the book. Throw them all out, how politicians and their friends get rich off insider stock tips, etc., as Herman Cain would say, etc.